from Beirut, and I stopped up there where they call it the calling cards of the great men of the earth. They left inscriptions there. I walked up that river there quite a way, probably half a mile. Beautiful water as it comes rippling down over those rocks. Now, let me say this to you. I hear people sing on Jordan's stormy banks I stand. I hear them talk about roll, Jordan, roll. It's a muddy stream, friend. It's not near as pretty. I rather agree with Naaman. Why in the world should I go down and dip down there? Why not go up there where I can get some clean water? But you see, a lot of folk hate to come to the cross. It's a place of ignominy, a place of shame, and they don't want to come there. They want to do some great thing, and that's what this man does. Oh, the pride of Naaman. The rivers of Damascus are better, and they were. He said, drive on. The impudence and the impertinence of the prophet to tell me to do this. My friend, you'll have to come to the cross of Christ. You don't come to Jesus and stand up as a proud man, say you've got something you're resting on. When you come to him, it's just as I am, without one plea, but that thy blood was shed for me. Charlotte Elliott was singing one night. Lovely voice, opera singer. And there was an unknown preacher there, a young man. After she'd sung, he went over to her, congratulated. Said, you have such a wonderful voice. But he said, that voice is a voice God could use. But he said, you'll have to come to him just like any other sinner. And she was offended. She says, how dare you? I'm not like any other sinner. I want you to know I'm a famous opera singer. And so she went home that night. She couldn't forget what that young preacher said. And she was restless. She couldn't sleep. And finally, why, she got up out of bed and she wrote, just as I am without one plea, that thy blood was shed for me, O Lamb of God, I come. And my friend, if you come, that's the way you're going to have to come. This is the way it is. And this proud fella, he rides off, you see. So he turned and went away in a rage. That's the last part, verse 12 here of 2 Kings 5. Verse 13, and his servants came near and spake unto him and said, my father, if the prophet had bid thee do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? How much rather then when he saith to thee, wash and be clean? Now, if he had told you to do some great thing, you would have attempted it. And how many people today would like to do some great thing for salvation? You don't do a great thing. He did the great thing for us. All we have to do is receive it. We come as beggars. These servants, now they beg him. Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And I'd give anything in the world if I could have been there and watched that. I think every time he went down, he'd come up and look at himself. He said, this is absurd. I'm not getting clean. I'm not getting rid of my leprosy. And down he goes again. But he went down 7 times, and when he came up, I read now again the last part of verse 14, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean, and he returned to the man of God, he and all his company. And they came and stood before him, and he said, behold, now I know that there's no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. And he said, as the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I'll receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Elisha is as difficult to get along with as Elijah is. Naaman said, shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. Now, this man, Elisha, had a servant by the name of Gehazi. And he hated to see that handsome reward slip. And so he took out after Naaman, and he caught up with him, and he said, if you don't mind, why, we'll be glad to take the offering. And when he came to the tower, he took them from his hand, bestowed them in the house, and let the men go, and they departed. He went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, whence comest thou, Gehazi? And he said, thy servant went nowhither. And he said unto him, went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards and vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servants and maid servants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee and unto thy seed forever. And he went out from his presence a leper as white as snow. Why, grieved. May I say to you another awful sin. The great sin of Naaman was pride. The great sin of Gehazi was greed. Awful sin. My beloved, it's leprosy of the soul. We're going to leave right